We are at the paint party at Jewish Family Services that Commonwealth Murals is throwing, one of 5 murals that are going to be going up in the fall. And I am with the creative director of Commonwealth Murals, Britt Rue. Thanks for joining me.
I am so happy you're here, and we're just so excited to be doing this project, having a great time, as usual.
So one of the things that is especially cool about this particular set of paint parties is that your fresh paint cohort is here learning on hand how to do this work in community and beyond. Talk about like trying to get those dates lined up so that they all can be here at one point, because like they all have other lives, and that scheduling is the hardest part of making something new.
It's true. It is true. Well, we put out a big artist call, and in the artist call we say these are all the dates, but there is so much planning that goes on behind the scenes. But I have like a vision for the future. If I was going to be like queen of everything, the vision would be that in every neighborhood there were muralists that knew how to paint murals in collaboration with community. And so this is our one little step towards that vision that we've done now many times, but where we're training artists that live here locally in the 413 so that they know how to create community engaged murals. And as I'm sure you heard from Gabby, she went through the training and now she's doing murals, and that's what we're trying to do here.
Why? We're at the paint party thrown by Commonwealth Murals at Jewish Family Services, and we happen to be with the artist of this mural that will be on the side of this building. Tell us your name.
Hi, my name is Gabriela Sepulveda Ortiz, or Gabby. You can call me Gabby. That's a mouthful.
Okay, Gabby. Talk about the feedback that you got from the community and how you incorporated it into what people will eventually see on this wall.
So there is this beautiful things that happens when you're doing community muralism. It's not just about the paint party. The inviting the community to paint in the paint party is a huge, beautiful part of the process. But what makes it really a community mural is that first process of design, of talking to them and being like, what do you want to see? You're the one who lives here. You're the one who has to go through the process of seeing this thing every day. How do you want to be represented, and how do you want to be seen, or what will make you feel comfortable? Because this is a place with refugees and with new people coming into the country. What will you see that will make you feel welcome? So when we went to an ESL class, and there was a Nigerian woman with her 2 sons who were wonderful. They were so excited. There was an Afghani woman in the group, and there was another Afghani woman and like 3 more Haitians, and no one spoke English. But, you know, technology today, the fact that we have the phones, they had their own little translator programs, and they themselves were friends with each other and found a way to communicate with each other and with us. Like if they really wanted to tell us something, they'll be like, just wait a minute, and they'll look for it, or they'll translate it. You somehow managed, it doesn't matter your differences, you will always find something more in common than you do a different. So a lot of the mural design for this one was in the feeling that they gave me, and that trying to communicate with each other and still finding a way through, whether it's music or storytelling or looking at things. I wanted to kind of bring that feeling that they brought in with me. So a lot of the things in the mural itself, the symbolism, is the people that were in the class. So I got a Nigerian pattern as the background. There's an Afghani dancer, and she's telling a story to the kids. There's a Nigerian woman holding a flag, and the painting on the flag is Rebecca's painting that she did in class. And the family in the middle is a family of refugees that they had brought the entire family over, and so they wanted to see them represented there. And so one of the things that I wanted to put was, there was a book that I read in elementary school called Number of the Stars. But then here in Springfield, being the hub of the Underground Railroad, we also had the drinking gourd. They followed the drinking gourd, which are the exact same set of stars, to freedom. And so for me, it was really important symbolism that worked not only for the people coming in, but it worked for Springfield itself. There was so much symbolism. I asked, what color is the color of resistance? And I was expecting hot colors, like red, red. And they gave me blue because water can cut through anything, through rock, through stone. And I was like, oh, nice. They said blue and green because nature, like you abandon a city for years, nature's going to grow right over it. And it's like Jurassic Park.
You abandon a fence for 2 months.
Nature will find a way, to quote Jurassic Park. It will find a way. And so for me, that was beautiful because in my head, I'm like, red, machete, blood.
Right.
The fact that it went kind of like Avatar, like very different, very Katara, and I had to throw that on there, and that's everything in that mural means something, not just in feeling. And I really hope that whoever comes in and sees it gets that feeling of all of the things. Like, we are not just one of the things. We are all of the things. We are all of these people. We are all of these colors and all of these representation, and always following a North Star.
We are just outside of where a lot of painting is happening inside because it's raining and it's hard to paint in the rain. And Commonwealth Murals has brought a number of, like, are you considered like interns or your residents to learn how to do mural work from them in community as they put up 5 murals around Springfield and beyond? And you're one of those fellows. Tell us your name.
Hi, my name's Aaliyah Stevenson. To answer your question, I feel like I'm a student because I feel like I'm a learner, because not only we're being able to paint these murals, but they're teaching us the whole process of what it takes to paint a mural and all the stuff that it takes to make a community party, because a lot of things are hard doing it by yourself as a muralist. So this program is teaching me like how to become a muralist and like what things that I need to become successful.
Have you done other types of public art before coming here to learn how to do this style of public art?
No, I haven't. It's surprisingly, because I feel like for me this is like a big paint by number. So I do love paint by numbers, but I haven't done anything at this big of a scale. So
how did you find out about Commonwealth Murals and the program that they have right now to teach folks how to do murals wherever they happen to be?
So it was funny because I was at a museum in downtown Springfield, and I was at one of the shows that they had, and Tasha Lee, who works here, a part of the Commonwealth Murals, she reached out to me and was like, hey, there's an opportunity. The deadline is tomorrow, but I was like, you know what? I'll try it. Even though deadline is tomorrow, I was ready to jump right in.
The last minute is still a minute you can get your application in.
Exactly. So I hurried up and got my application in right away.
Right on. How did you get into murals as an art form?
I tripped into it. No, okay, so it's a complicated story because it's kind of always been in my life, but I have always been running away from it. The teacher who originally trained me to paint was a muralist, and I had done my first murals when I was around 11th grade or 10th grade on people's living rooms and stuff. I graduated from college and then did a couple of nurseries, but it wasn't like a thing. In 2020, when life went backwards for everybody.
There's just a black hole where that year is.
I had a blessing in disguise sort of year that allowed me the freedom to explore my artwork. And in that time, there were some opportunities popping out, and amongst them was one of Commonwealth Murals' first fresh paint cohorts. So I was like, this is the time. We're quitting the job. Let's do the art and let's see if I get in. And then I got in. And then I got along with everybody that was putting the thing together. And they gave me the tools that I needed to kind of do this on my own. Now I have my own muralism group. All of these different facets and meeting all different artists in different stages in their career. So you get all of these tidbits of life experience. It's been all of my closest friends now are in art groups, and it's just like, oh, this life was not impossible. Everyone thinks that being an artist is impossible. It's not. It's just hard.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, helping Western Mass families achieve greater energy independence through solar power, battery systems, and air source heat pumps. Northeast-solar.com.
welcome to our space.
Thank you so much for letting me come in and just like invade and shove a microphone in people's faces.
Of course, we're happy to be here.
I am at one of Commonwealth Murals paint parties at Jewish Family Services in Springfield. We're right by the X, and I'm with a rabbi here. Tell us your name.
I'm Rabbi James Green. I'm the CEO at Jewish Family Service.
Jewish Family Services is having a paint party. How do those dovetail together?
Well, I think that JFS is an organization that for a long time has served newcomers in the community, refugees and immigrants. And this mural came as an opportunity to celebrate that work in a moment when the immigrant community is perhaps more under attack than it's been certainly in any time in my lifetime. And so the opportunity to have a piece, public forward-facing piece on the wall right here in the heart of Forest Park, right at the X, that says we are a community that believes in this Jewish value of welcoming the stranger, and we are a community that recognizes that our people were refugees too, was an opportunity that we were excited to take on, and an opportunity to beautify our space in a way that is special and partners with an organization like Commonwealth Murals that has such an incredible reputation and does so much good work in the community.
I can't help but notice, but on my way into Jewish Family Services, there was another Commonwealth mural on the other opposite side of the street as well. So there'll be two here with different themes.
That's right. Yeah. So our partners at Caring Health Center have a separate mural. It's on the Lenox side. And what'll be wonderful is that they've made plans to renovate this part of the thoroughfare in the X. And so actually people will come and pass our mural, and then they'll turn down Lenox because the direction of Lenox is going to change. And so they're going to get this kind of beautiful experience of different populations here in Forest Park.
That's awesome. What does Jewish Family Services do for the rest of the year when they're not throwing paint parties?
JFS has been in the community since the late 1800s, and the entirety of our existence has been about providing human services to newcomer, immigrant, at-risk populations. We're an organization that supports thousands of new Americans every year through a variety of services: case management, youth mentoring, school integration, health promotions programming. We also are a licensed mental health center, and we provide about 11,000 behavioral health sessions every single year, mostly to new Americans in more than a dozen languages. Additionally, we support elders in the community through a variety of programs and serve about 2,000 older adults every single year. And then we also engage the Jewish community and the greater community around us in activism, education, and engagement volunteerism. So we do a lot here, and we really love the opportunity to welcome people and to cultivate resilience in our community.
I got to see the mock-up of the mural that's going on the side of your building. As you mentioned, the community that you serve is huge. So, you really could have picked almost any topic, but to double down and show community with, especially refugees, that says something very specific.
Yeah. It was actually wonderful. This is not a mural that belongs to JFS. It's a mural that tells the story of the communities, of the populations that we serve. So we wanted their voices to be heard and to be lifted up. What I love about the mural are the ways in which the different portions of our work are being kind of woven together in a piece. There's an Afghan dancer who's teaching children, youth playing soccer, Nigerian colors that are in the background, Haitian community members that are there. There's a family that we resettled. In the background of the middle of the mural, they're holding a bag that is common for refugees to have from the International Office of Migration. It is the bag that designates them. It's the thing that they carry that is the physical representation of their journey as a refugee and their ability to travel across the border. And then surrounding that are these butterflies, which are a symbol of freedom and kind of border crossing and migration, and are a symbol of I think of what we hope for the refugee community, which is to be able to find peace and security and joy at home. I want to say one other thing, which is that in Jewish tradition, there's an obligation to care for the community. There is a separate obligation to what's called hidur mitzvah, to beautify the space in which you're in. This is an opportunity to do that. It's a separate commandment with its own obligation. So we don't just have to do the work, We have to make the space beautiful in which we do the work, because it helps us welcome our community in and also helps us remember the stories that ground the work that we do.
I notice that you're very pristine right now. Have you done any painting yet today?
I have done some painting. I've just been pretty careful, and I actually couldn't get a smock. There were so many people here, I couldn't grab one, and so I just had to be careful. But my partner Jen and daughter Cole are here doing some painting, and other members of our community are, and it's wonderful to stand back and watch this thing that we've been talking about for a number of months really come to life.
How did you pick where these 5 murals were going to go this year?
So it's always an organic process, I would say, that sometimes a funder, like some of the funding is coming from the city of Springfield, and they said this funding requires us to do work in these particular neighborhoods. Same in the city of Holyoke wanted to add more murals to the Puerto Rican Cultural District. So then we're working with our community partners like Nueva Esperanza and Holyoke, saying, where do you want murals? Where do you think is going to be good? Also, it's a lot of me wandering around the streets and saying, this would be a good wall, or that would be a good wall. But how we found this wall is we were doing the mural that's right across the street on Lenox Street. And while we were putting that mural up, we just kept seeing all these people going in and out of this building, in and out, all kinds of people. And we're like, what's going on over there? And also maybe they have a bathroom, because we didn't have access to a bathroom. So then we were coming in here to use the bathroom and like just got to know them and thought, oh my gosh, they're like this secret thing. I mean, maybe it's not, it was secret to us, but I'm sure lots of people already know what they do. But we were just so impressed with everything that they're doing. Thought, you know what, we should try to do a mural with them one day. So we did.
I am with Britt Rue, the director at Commonwealth Murals, in the middle of a paint party. Well, getting towards the end of today's paint party, but there are more coming this week that people can attend. There's 2 happening this Friday that people can come and be a part of the art.
Yes, so on Friday, we're painting from 11 to 2 in downtown Springfield, 73 Market Street, which is right on that, it's a pedestrian walkway where Nosh is, if you know Nosh. And that's with the Work Opportunity Center, which is an amazing organization that supports adults with disabilities in work and volunteering in the community. So you can come there from 11 to 2. And then from 6:30 to 8:30, we're going to be at Armor Yard in Holyoke at their night market, painting the 3 murals that we're doing in Holyoke.
I need to get you back to painting. I have one last question, which is kind of, it's going to sound like 2, but it's really 1. Is this your first painting in your neighborhood here in Lake Forest Park? If so, how does that make you feel? And if not, where else can we see your work?
Someone had asked me a question that is like, how does it feel to see your work in large scale? And at this point, I've done this so consistently enough that part is, it's always awesome. And it's like, look at what an awesome thing we did, because it's a lot, it's extreme, it's all consuming, it's a wall. But it's old hat. It's just like, oh, look, we did the sketch, we put it on the wall. But the fact that this one I live a block away. So I have a mural that I designed a block away from where I live is a little kind of weird for me in a good way. It's like, oh my God, this is my home. I painted that. If I were to take someone on like a tour of the X, I could walk over here and be like, so that's a mural I painted, and then right next to it, that's the other one that Commonwealth Murals painted. And if we cross the street, we could go have lunch at Christo's. And, so you could give a nice little tour of the X. And it's just like, but there's also, do you know Hancock Street? Yeah. There's a laundromat there where there's like a pool party happening. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like a laundromat water park.
Yeah.
That's another one of my murals. I designed that one.
Nice.
So those are the 2 ones I have in Springfield that are mine, my designs and my things. My hands are in so many of them because I've been so involved in so many Commonwealth Murals projects, and a lot of the murals here are from Commonwealth Murals. So I see myself in all of them.
What about the other folks that are learning alongside you?
Yeah, so for folks who are learning alongside of me, like my coworkers,
The people that are taking the class to learn to do murals with you, like your cohort of learners.
Yeah. So it is, first off, it's amazing to get this amount of creators in Springfield, art creators. So to work alongside of other people who really are artists as well, it is a beautiful thing. And to see them have the same love and drive that I have for art and working together, it really just makes me smile.
I imagine that this isn't that different from like actually teaching your small children.
No, just adults this time. It's not much of a change, just adults, just the age.
Now that the panels are painted, because the cool thing about the paint parties is that like the panels are basically paint by number. Everybody comes in, you get a smock if you're early enough, and then you grab some paint, you hit your number for that paint, and then these panels are kind of like the base layer of them is done. What happens next?
By the way, you're an expert now, and you can come and like teach people how to run paint parties and just do it. And that is the awesome thing about these events, is that people become experts really quickly, and so people can feel really independent in the work that they're doing. So after we get this first coat of paint down, we bring all these panels back to our studio, and we're going to be divvying up the panels for these 5 murals between the 16 artists that are part of this training. They're going to do all the technical and detail painting. And then once it's all done and looking beautiful, we line up all the panels in the studio to make sure that everything is aligning. And then we glue them up on the walls like permanent wallpaper. So we use this acrylic gel. It contracts when it dries, and so the panels like hug the wall, and you can see the pattern of brick behind it. Then we paint over the seams, and once it's up, it looks like it was painted there. So if you drive around Springfield, almost all the murals you see were done this way, and you can't tell. But if you were at a paint party, you can go and say, like, see that person's hair that's up there on the 4th floor? Like, I painted that. And I do a lot of mural tours, and I meet people on the tour as we're going through, and someone would be like, oh, I painted that tree, or I did this. And, I just love that, because people remember, and they feel like, okay, I did that, which they did.
And you can be a part of that if you come to either the Armor Yard in Holyoke on Friday evening, or to just outside of Nosh in Springfield on Friday afternoon to be a part of the next 2 paint parties. Be a part of some community art. Thanks so much, Britt Rue.
Thank you so much for everything that you do and for being here.
The Bowtides is a powerhouse Celtic ensemble led by 3 Irish fiddlers, dynamic women who are veterans of the stage and studio, with a collective 16 years as the fiddlers with the Irish-American supergroup Gaelic Storm. They'll be performing at Bombyx Center for Arts and Equity in Florence on Friday, July 24th. An Evening with the Bowtides is a whirlwind tour of the Celtic nations, from traditional Irish and Scottish tunes to contemporary compositions, Galician jibs, songs, and Irish dance featuring local dancers from the local dance school, Skol Rinse Bresna O'Rourke. And with us to talk about the ensemble and their upcoming performance is one of those 3 fiddlers, Ellery Klein, who performs an authentic and driving style forged from decades in Boston, Massachusetts. She lived for several years in Ireland and earned an MA in traditional Irish music from the University of Limerick in 2001. Ellery performed nationally with Gaelic Storm from 2003 until 2007. She currently performs with Portland, Maine, and Boston Irish music trio Fodla. Is that right? Did I pronounce that correctly?
It's more Irish. It's Fola. Fola is the trio. Yeah.
She taught fiddle for several years at the Coltes Cultori Aaron branch, has been a well-received and repeat instructor at Fiddle Hell, and in 2021 joined Katie, Jesse, and Winifred Horan to launch the online winter fiddle and conversation weekend, Fiddle Frenzy. And she joins us now. Thank you for correcting my Irish and being with us today.
Thank you. You're welcome. Although I struggle with Irish myself. Studying over in Ireland, I swore that I would actually learn how to pronounce Irish. And I know how to say Cultus Kilturi Aaron because I've taught for them for years.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, let's start there. I think you might be one of the first non-Irish folks that we've had on the show who studied in Ireland, and to study traditional Irish music there must have been a really interesting experience. What was that like?
It was a great experience. Yeah, I spent 2 separate years over there. I did a junior year abroad in Cork and studied traditional music that year with Liz Doherty, is a great fiddle player from Donegal who was getting her PhD at that point. And then later I went back and did a master's degree in Irish music at the pretty new at that time Irish World Music Center at the University of Limerick. So the instruction in both those schools was great. Got to study with fabulous fiddle teachers, players from over there, and a couple from Scotland and Sweden as well. But it's great. There's such an Irish music scene in Boston, of course, and I learned so much about playing Irish music in Boston from the players around here, as well as some up in Vermont, which is where I went to college, and really started playing Irish music in the early 90s. But there really is something about being in the culture over there, and the music is much more native, and
Right.
so you get to swim in deeper waters when you're learning Irish music in Ireland.
That's awesome. And I know we're going a little bit backwards, but what called to you about the fiddle?
It's funny because myself and the other two fiddle players in the Bowtides, Jesse and Katie, I would say we all have a similar trajectory, which might be part of why we gel musically so well, because we all played classical music to start. Jesse was raised in England. Katie grew up in Pittsburgh. I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, actually. And we all played classical music in our youth. And then at some point found ourselves drawn to Irish music. Both Katie and I had done Irish dancing, her far more in depth than me, but we had that experience and just sort of, it sort of just turned out that classical music wasn't, our passion, even though we learned so much and we're trained technically and musically so well in that genre. We just wanted something a little more, I don't want to say informal, but I don't know, with Irish music you get to hang out in the pub. It's a little more part of a community-based music, I guess I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I started personally looking around for fiddle music, and a family friend of mine was from Belfast and played the bodhrán and introduced me to a harp player who swept me under her wing and took me out on a bunch of St. Patrick's Day gigs when I was about 17. And then I realized, like, oh, I could actually make some money at this too. So that also wasn't I don't know how true that ended up in the end, but
I mean, if you can make money like by performing music, then that's amazing, period.
Yeah, I mean, when you're 17, that gig money seems incredible. So
We're chatting with Ellery Klein of the Bowtides, who are going to be performing at Bombyx Center for Arts and Equity on Friday, July 24th. I don't often see bands where one of their members is primarily billed as a dancer in conjunction with the instrument that they play. Does your knowledge of Irish dance affect the way that you compose work?
mostly I would say it's the performance. So Katie was a champion Irish dancer. She went all the way through college with Irish dancing, I believe. And one of the things we like to do when we tour around with the Bowtides is find a local dance school to collaborate with to kind of bring in that community feel. And Katie remembers how special it was when she was dancing to get to dance with a legitimate band on stage versus just another recording. And so we really enjoy bringing those dancers on, and they get a chance to showcase their skills. And it always, of course, everyone loves when the dancers come leaping out and pounding the stage to our tunes. And then occasionally Katie will put on her shoes herself and dance a few steps in the middle of one of our sets.
Oh, that's awesome also.
Yeah, and it's dance music. I mean, originally Irish music was country music. People were dancing in homes around the fireplace. You'd have a few neighbors over and do a set dance, and now Irish dance has become this global competitive scene. But I like to think that with our little band, we're, finding schools and just bringing a bit of that community spirit back when we go around.
We're speaking with Ellery Klein of the Bowtides, one of the fiddlers for that quintet. Introduce us virtually to the other four members of your band and how this arrangement of the Bowtides came together.
Yeah, so there's myself, Ellery Klein. I'm from Boston. And then Jessie Burns is from Lyons, Colorado. She lives there now. She's originally from England. And her husband, Eric Tureen, is a Grammy-nominated bass player, mostly in the bluegrass tradition. He's toured a lot with various folks, including Peter Rowan and others. And then in Chicago is Katie Grennan on fiddle. And then our guitar player is Jeff Lindblade, and both Jeff and Eric sing a few songs for us as part of the set as well. So we've got the three fiddles sort of, we all go back and forth between melodies and harmonies and rhythms, and then the bass and guitar just really give a lot of depth and great rhythm, great chords. And I think we've got some great arrangements for folks.
You have a project that combines your love of music with your love of birds and nature. Can you talk about the Irish Music's invitation to observe?
Yeah, well, kind of like the Bowtides, which were a band that came out of COVID, actually, through a conversation on Facebook that turned into an online festival. Also during COVID, everyone was bird watching out the window and everything was quiet. I
Right.
remember like the cars stopped and the planes even stopped for a few weeks there, a few days, I don't remember. You had some time to think, and I started thinking about a lot of Irish music. There's this ornamentation of rolls and grace notes, and a lot of it does sound like bird song. And I was also doing a lot of I was reading there's a book called The Shepherd's Life, which is this farmer in north of England, and there's an Irish tune called the curlew, and a curlew is an endangered bird that is a shore bird, but it actually ends up nesting in like hay fields. They're quite endangered. They're disappearing from Ireland, and like they're trying to keep this bird alive. And he had a beautiful story about his grandfather, before they really got into modern agriculture. He's writing about his grandfather who was mowing a field and all of a sudden stopped the tractor and got out and picked up this nest full of eggs and like put it on his lap and kept mowing, and then stopped and put the nest back because he had seen the bird nesting and he knew where the nest was. And nowadays they just send these giant industrial vehicles out and they just chop the bird eggs up, and that's why the curlew are struggling, because modern agriculture, he described in the book that even his dad kind of was like, oh, that old guy is so daft and sentimental, but the fact that he was taking such care of this bird nest made him just, aware of nature. And so I was thinking about the farmers in the old days standing on the edge of the field, just watching their cows and seeing how the herd was doing. And at the same time, they're listening to the sounds of all these birds around them, and the chirps and the twirls and the calls, and then going home and playing their tin whistle or their fiddle and trying to put those sounds in the music. And there's lots of tune titles that are called like Lark in the Bush, and the Lark in the Clear Summer Sky, and then there's Animal One. So I myself and a fiddle player named Laurel Martin put together a concert that was just all tune names that were animals or birds or nature. There were a few mountain tunes in there, and then combined it with some poetry readings and facts about birds. And the invitation was, these farmers made this music by listening to the sounds around them, and you can, even in the depths of the city, you can still stop and listen to the sounds around you and notice things. Put your phone down and just listen. And so the concert was an invitation to just listen to the sounds around you and pay attention to what's around you, and notice.
I love that so much. That
Yeah,
is so cool.
it was a really satisfying concert to do at that time. But at the same time I was doing that, I was also putting together the Bowtides, which we ended up chatting on Facebook, just reaching out to each other like, oh, we're all sitting at home, just wanted to say hi or something, and we got chatting. And then the next thing, we got invited to do a festival online for a festival in Colorado that Jesse was involved with over the years. And so we put together a couple videos online with the help of Jeff and Eric and a couple other people at the time, John Williams, Katie Grennan's husband, plays with Solus. And then Pittsburgh Irish Festival, where Katie is originally from, they said, oh, we love that. Would you make us one? So we used some of the same videos and made a few more and did another online performance. And then Pittsburgh invited us to come in person in 2021, in August of 2021. They said, we're going to do the festival this year. Would you like to come and do this band for real. And so we all flew in. Katie's parents actually put us up for about 5 days, and we rehearsed just nonstop. And they were so kind. They made us all sorts of food and kept us fed. And we managed to put together a whole live set and go on stage at Pittsburgh. And then we looked at each other at the end and we're like, that was really fun. We should keep this band going. So yeah, it's one of those funny, COVID was a really hard time. And, I think we can safely say that a lot of that came out of that time was not good, but there were also some gifts that upheaval brought us, I guess. So we're treasuring this one.
Yeah, and
Keeping it going.
your band is clearly one of those amazing treasures that came out of COVID.
Yeah, and this is the first time that we have been east of Pittsburgh with this band. So this is the New England debut. We played around festivals around the Midwest, Pittsburgh a couple times, played Wisconsin, Colorado, but been trying to bring us out here for a few years now. And we this winter we were awarded a grant from the Club Passim in Cambridge, Mass. They have Brian O'Donovan, you may know, was the Irish music host of the radio show Celtic Sojourn.
And a very good afternoon and welcome once again to a Celtic Sojourn, a program exploring traditional and contemporary music from around the Celtic world.
They used to air for years and years on WGBH in Boston. And his wife, Lindsay, and Club Passim put together a legacy fund to give annual grants for touring artists to support. As you can imagine, like, for example, with us, just first time out to New England, we have 4 people to fly in and a bass. And so a little grant, we were awarded that grant. So lots of gratitude to Club Passim and Lindsay O'Donovan and the memory of Brian O'Donovan for the support to get us all out here and do this tour in New England starting next Thursday.
That is awesome. We're speaking with Ellery Klein of the Bowtides, who are going to be performing at Bombyx in Florence on Friday, July 24th. Thank you so much, Ellery Klein, for hanging out with me and talking about your really lovely band, the Bowtides.
Thank you so much for having me on. And yeah, hope to see everyone out next Friday night.